Let's go back and look at the formula one more time. There are some interesting things to look at when looking at the weights of each stat. Here you can see the formula highlighted by similar weights. GameScore weighs turnovers and steals the same, which in my brain makes sense. Most NBA players aren't just throwing the ball away. Really, the only time there's turnovers is when they're either ripped or it's a bad pass that gets stolen. Points are also at the same weight, which makes sense that points are worth, well, a point. It would feel really weird if 20 points was only worth, say, 17 in GameScore. A 1-for-1 ratio is the only thing that makes sense there. Assists, blocks, offensive boards, and field goals attempted all of the same weight. This is an interesting combo that I think works, as field goals attempted is probably your first or second largest number depending on how many points are scored and how many shots you take. That ratio could change depending on how efficient you were on a given night. Assists are probably a larger number as well, and blocks and O-boards are likely at a similar rarity to each other. For full transparency, I actually don't have any of the ratios of how often a stat is showing up in a box score or anything that actually prove that these ratios are correct. I'm just going off of my experience playing, coaching, and just watching basketball and how often these things happen on a basketball court in my experience. So I'm basically just going off a gut feeling and a little bit of an educated guess. Field goals made and the difference between free throws made and attempted are at the same weight as well. I think that is interesting that free throws are a negative of the formula, really emphasizing the fact that these are in fact free shots. NBA players should be making most of them, if not all of them. You also see moving forward that some of the best games have very efficient nights from the free throw line, because then that negative is very, very small. Now, spending this much time looking at this formula, can you see what's missing? That's right, there's no three-pointers that are considered. I go back and forth in my mind on how I feel about this. With the weight three-pointers have in today's NBA, it feels wrong that they aren't here. On the same hand, the lack of three-pointer being in the formula allows for the formula to be fair to other eras before the three-pointer, and when the three-pointer did exist but was less emphasized. At the time that I'm writing this script, my current feeling is that since these three-pointers are counted in the field goals made and field goals assisted, there's no reason to double up or differentiate between a 2-point make or a 3-point make. So right now, I think it does make sense that it's not in there, but my opinion could change even by the time I'm editing this, but who knows? All right, enough talking about the formula. No stat is perfect, but is the best singular number stat that can quantify an individual performance. Speaking of, let's look at the 11 games that cracked the top 100, as well as a recent performance that was just outside of the top 100.